Council for Tuesday, May 5th, 2020 at 4:30 p.m. to order. First item on the agenda is a public meeting notice. The public meeting notice is that we'll be doing it by teleconferencing. So at this time, we'll have Nicole call the roll call.
Councilor Fisher? Councilor Fisher, are you
Sorry, I
here?
couldn't hear Nicole. Oh, yes.
Councilor Mack?
Sorry, I couldn't hear Nicole.
Schultz?
Yes.
Christian?
Okay.
Let's do the noise.
Nicole,
Yes.
Somebody,
your sound is not coming over. There's a lot of back feed coming across.
Is someone watching this on TV? If your TV is on, you have to turn the sound down.
Is it Dave? Is Dave's on two ways too, or no?
Oh, it's okay now. It's good.
Okay.
okay, so, Councilor Christian, you're here?
Yes.
Councilor Schmitz?
Yes.
Just Larry is missing, and Roger, you were on as well, right?
Correct.
All right. We'll go on to item number 2, the consent agenda. Consent agenda items. Go ahead.
I'll offer a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second, Christian.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. Any discussion on any? Seeing none? Nicole, want to do the
Yep.
roll call?
Councilor Fisher?
Yes.
Councilor Schultz?
Yes.
Councilor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item number 2, public hearing. And at this time, if you want to get up and explain that,
Yeah.
Nate?
Yes. For those on the phone call in the public, if you have an item, if you have a comment, we need you to raise your hand in Zoom, and then we can unmute you if you have a comment.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 3.1, a loan to the Black Forest Distillery Company.
So before you today, you have a loan request from Black Frost Distilling Company in the amount of $250,000 from the City Revolving Loan Fund. This company will be located at 201 First Street North. Total project cost is $4.9 million. So this falls within the city loan being 30 or less than 30% of the total project cost, and there is a minimum of 10% equity in the project, so it meets all loan requirements. I will call to note this is a little bit of a different situation with our loan. We will be offering a 13-year term for this loan. It'll be 3 years of no payments or interest, and then 10 years of payments. This is conducive with their business plan and their business model. They will be creating 4 jobs within 2 years of occupying the building. And currently, right now, we have $283,000 in our revolving loan fund. This will be a 1% interest as well.
Thank you.
Nate and Jason are in the crowd if you have any questions for them or you would like them to explain the project.
Public hearing, if anybody likes to have anything to say or anybody's got anything to say. Nobody out in the hall, out there? Nope.
I know we have the 2 owners, I would assume, in the back of the room. I'd like to hear from them just a little bit about the project, and this is a pretty good sized loan, and to be willing to come up and just say a few words.
Step up to the mic and give your name and address.
We won't
for
ask
the
you too
record.
many tough questions, but just talk a little bit about what your project is and what you're planning for that property.
We purchased the.
Introduce yourself first.
My name's Jason Marty. My business partner is Nate Giesecke. We purchased the old New Ulm wholesale building, which was owned previously by Hermann Food Service. We are opening a distillery. It is a northern terroir focused distillery. We're going to make primarily whiskey, so American single malt, bourbon, rye will be our primary products. Everything will be northern ingredient sourced, so primarily Minnesota, but also including Wisconsin, the Dakotas. So that's our barley, wheat, rye, corn and oak, so everything will be kind of grown in the area. Our plan is to have a functioning distillery, cocktail room, and tours, all kinds of kind of a destination complex with the outdoor patio and everything like that. So this money that we're applying for the loan will help go towards startup costs. The reason with the 3-year deferment is the way whiskey is made, it needs to age before you can release it. So we have a 3-year waiting period while our spirits mature before we release any products.
Chris talked a little bit about the funding.
Your name too? You gotta-
Nate Giesecke. Talking a little bit about the funding. It's about $5 million total funding needs, which includes about $2.5 million of working capital needs. Like he talked about, 3 years of negative working capital. That's why basically we asked for the 13-year with 3 years of no principal and interest payments.
So what's the timeline on the building before you open
Yeah.
for business, but then you gotta wait 3 years, it sounds like, right?
Yeah, so right now we're still in fundraising mode. So we're looking for investors, also applying for different types of loans through USDA, local banks, those type of things. So we're probably about a little over, around 60% funded. So looking for a little bit more investment for things moving forward. But I guess as far as opening, once we have funding, it'd probably be a 9 to 12 month period where renovations and startup begins before we actually have products to sell. Yes, it'll be 2 to 3 years before we're selling whiskey products, but we'll also be making rums, which will also that'll be available right away.
Oh, okay.
So we do plan on, once we're operating within a short period of time, opening up for public to come and do tastings as well as have the cocktail room open.
Sounds great.
That was the one main question I was gonna ask, is why were there 3 years and no payments? So you answered it. Makes sense. I don't know if I have anything else other than the loan drops our balance down to what, 33,000?
Yep.
Do we have other requests out there?
At this point, no. I had brought up this to the EDA and proposed some other projects, and EDAs would be willing to fund potential projects moving forward if request comes in.
Okay. How does this work now if what they're doing is fundraising and they're not going to get started until they reach their whatever number that they have?
Mm-hmm.
Do we sit on the funds until they say, yep, we got it, we're ready to go? Is that how that works?
No, so when they're ready to do construction, so basically yes, in a sense,
Okay.
but when they're ready to start construction, we can disperse the funds
Check
as
those
soon
out.
as they're ready to move forward with them. And we'll work with Jason, Nate, to get those available as soon as they need them to move forward.
Thank you. That's all I have for
Okay.
questions.
Anybody else have any questions?
Counselor Christian, you guys were really broken up, and I kind of caught that what Counselor Schultz was talking about. So that we're down to actually 30 or 33,000 then in that revolving loan.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, just a little nervous with it, just with everything we're going through. Hopefully, we're not bombarded in the next 2 months with small requests from businesses that, hey, we need this,
That
try to expand or do whatnot. But
that fund
just a little
would
bit
be
of a concern.
those types of loans.
Yeah, that would be through economic development, those type of funds.
Yeah, so the revolving loan fund is primarily for construction and infrastructure for businesses looking to start or expand their businesses into new facilities. Economic relief and things like that would be a different request, and we would primarily ask the EDA to potentially come up with a program for things like that. But the revolving loan fund is strictly limited to specific functions.
One more question for our finance director. Is that kind of the lowest we ever went, down to that $30,000 mark?
Yes, but most people would tell you that's a good indication of the fact that we have businesses growing in town and it's being used.
We have other loan payments coming in that'll be filling that back up again? How soon will that happen?
I couldn't tell you where they are in those schedules
Okay.
right now.
Yeah, I know. Well,
But fairly soon.
I mean, there's
Every
monthly
year.
payments made,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
the other loans.
This is Counselor Fisher. Les, that was kind of my question is, do we know how fast that balance will build up, like over a year with all of the loans how many loans do we have out there currently? Is there like 4 or 5?
I've done
Spexes.
Spexis, DLC, Windings.
They're counting.
I'd say, yeah, there's probably 6 or 7 out there.
Most of them are early in their loans though, so it's not like they're gonna be repaid in the next
Right.
2 years.
You know what?
I mean,
We can't understand Nicole when she talks.
You're not,
I don't know
you're
if
not
she's
in
not
your
close
mic.
enough or.
I'm sorry, my mic was on the other side of the table. Sorry. Most of those loans are fairly new and they're early in their payment schedule. So the principal isn't being repaid very quickly, but it is being repaid. I mean, they make monthly payments, but it's not like those full $250,000 loans are going to be repaid, by the end of the year or anything. It'll take time to rebuild
No.
it.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how many thousands come in like over the course of the year to kind of replenish. I understand that they're not going to build up. We're not going to build up another 250,000 relatively quickly, but I'm just wondering, will we have 50,000 in there at the end of the year, or when will we reach 100,000?
I would say
I was kind of curious about that.
at this point, this year is going to be an anomaly in how much we take in because we've actually deferred all payments until July, so that'll knock us off a little bit. But I can get that number to the council tomorrow and let you know kind of what that replenishment cycle is. But since I've been here, I mean, I've given out 3 or 4 of those, the revolving loans, which again, Nicole hit the nail in the head with a hammer saying people are starting to expand, businesses are looking to expand, and it's a good problem to have at this point.
It is, absolutely.
If I can say something too about the loan
What is
and the project.
What is the average loan amount? I mean,
Every loan that I've
they
given out
normally
since,
come.
every loan that I've given out since I've been here is 250. I don't think we've gone any lower. I think Spexis got a little bit more at council's request. The only one that I know is a smaller loan was the one that we gave to the railroad to the co-op to fix the railroad crossings, and that was $35,000.
It looks like there's about just under 7,000 that comes back into that fund every month in loan
Okay.
payments. So
Okay.
And Jace had another comment.
Yeah, just with the loan and what we're doing as a project. I know we had the 4 jobs listed as full-time jobs that we'll be adding. There's also half dozen to a dozen part-time positions that we'll be adding in addition to that with cocktail room staff, tours, and stuff like that. And it's also, this is heavily focused on tourism as well. And we want to contribute to the local tourism economy that way, adding to another destination to bring people towards New Ulm. So we hope that it'll bring an additional revenue to the community outside of just what we're doing as a business.
I think it's going to be very popular, and I'll move this along by offering a motion to close the public hearing, offer the resolution, waive the reading, authorizing a loan with conditions to Black Frost Distilling Company in the amount of $250,000 from the city's revolving loan fund.
Councilor Fisher, I'll second that, and I just want to make a comment that the questions on the loan questions certainly was not to be construed as that we weren't in favor of the project. There's just some general information about that loan balance and stuff. So I just want to make sure that you're not being there in person. It's hard to show that we're really excited about this project. So I just want to make that clear that definitely for this project.
That'd be a wonderful addition to our community.
President Spitz?
Yes.
Yeah, Roger Hippert. Before the council votes, just so I'm clear on the terms of the resolution, the loan amount and the terms are laid out. Would the council be looking at getting some type of mortgage as security, or would you be looking at any type of personal guarantees from any of the owners of the company?
Okay, this is Councilor Fisher. I have some questions on that. Roger, what's the normal on that? Now, do we normally look for that when we're borrowing 250,000, or what's the normal process for that? I guess I wasn't assuming we were doing it the normal process.
I think the last ones that we've done, because they involve construction, we have gotten a mortgage here without talking to the owners. They mentioned they're still raising funds. I'm not sure how much of that will be the subject of a mortgage. If they're working with a commercial lender, that bank is obviously going to want to have the first secured mortgage position. So we would be second, possibly third. And I think there may have been some situations where we've gotten personal guarantees. I don't know if that's at all typical from the revolving loan fund. I don't know if Nicole or Chris would have any recollection of if we'd done that in the past. I mention those because obviously it gives the city some additional security if we're doing one or both.
The only thing that we've done, that I've done in the past, has been a mortgage, and then collateral. Have been the only two things that we've done, or the loans that I've done here is just mortgage and collateral. Haven't asked for a personal guarantee.
Any other questions?
Councilor Mack here. I'm in favor of the project.
Okay.
I guess my thoughts on that personal guarantee, if we haven't required that in the past, I don't know if in this situation that we should warrant it. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts on that, but I don't know what the legal advice would be on that. I know it gives us more security, but then we would probably want to ask for that on every loan, because that would give us more security if there was always that personal guarantee.
That's correct, Councilor Fisher. That's just a decision that the council needs to make. I'm just mentioning it to make sure that you can make an informed decision. We're not a commercial bank. A commercial bank is probably going to require that. But this is a city, and it's from the revolving loan fund. So if you decide that you're not going to require it, that's absolutely, of course, your decision to make.
Okay. My question then is aren't on most of these loans, aren't we kind of sitting in second or third position?
That's pretty much a given. Yes, you are right.
Okay.
Councilor Christian, one more question. I think, Chris, you kind of answered it, but you broke up during it. I mean, they're at 60% funding. Did I understand correct that they'll be given this amount of money when they can start the project when they're at the 100% funding? Or do we give them to it up front like we start tomorrow?
It'll be whenever they request the money, the funding, we can give it to them. Again, if they need to start construction to show investors that they're starting stuff and it helps spurs further investment, that's what this money is for, to help them get started. And so we'll work with Jace and Nathan to see when they need the money, so they can start their project as soon as possible.
Okay, you weren't broke up that time. Understood.
Any other questions?
Councilor Mack here. I'm in favor of the project and think we should take a second or third position in it.
All right. We had a motion to close the public hearing, offer the resolution, waive the reading, authorizing the loan. Any more discussion? Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack? Counselor Mack?
Larry?
Yes, Larry here.
Okay.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, you guys.
Thank you.
Item number 4, license and permits. 4.1, raffle gambling permit, New Ulm Girls Fastpitch Association.
I'll offer the motion to approve the issuance of a lawful gambling permit for the New Ulm Girls Fastpitch softball Saturday, June 20th.
Second, Christian.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack? Counselor Mack?
Counselor Mack?
Larry?
He's muted. He's muted. He's
Oh,
got to
he's mute.
unmute himself.
Oh,
Okay.
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 4.2, lawful gambling permit, and that's for Cathedral of Holy Trinity for bingo for June 28, 2020.
I'll offer that motion.
I'll second it, Fisher.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 4.3, temporary on sale 3.2 malt liquor license. And that's for also Cathedral of Holy Trinity for June 28th.
I'll offer that motion for the temporary on sale 3.2 liquor license for Cathedral for Sunday, June 28th.
Christian, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 4.4, liquor license renewal discount. Chris?
So this is coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic and how some of the restaurants and bars, haven't been able to operate at full capacity, and liquor license renewals are coming due. And so this is asking for a one-time $100 discount just across the board for any business that is renewing their liquor license. Anyone that's getting a new one has to pay full price, but anyone who's renewing at this time would get a $100 discount due to lack of sales.
Thank you.
This is Counselor Fisher. I have a question on that.
Okay.
So this is across the board. Is there any way that we could do it to just do it for those that were affected by the shutdown? Because I don't know if our liquor stores in town, they're not affected at all by the shutdown, and we've heard that, just through the media, that they are doing very well, and
We can.
should they be getting a discount?
We can. That's a council decision. This was just kind of a blanket statement to get the council to decide on a policy. We definitely have it broken out by business. Just a little more staff time to do it, but we can do it for just businesses affected.
I like that idea, Counselor Fisher. I also wrestle with this a little bit because we really don't know how long our bars are going to be closed down for business with COVID. It could be hopefully in the next couple of weeks, but it could be a couple more months or even longer. I wonder if a prorated amount might be better. I know their liquor licenses are due at July 1st, correct? Which $100 is fine if they open up now, but what if it's not till October? Shouldn't have to pay for a license that they
President
can't
Schmitz?
access. So I don't know if it's better to not ask for the renewal at this point and put that off till we know when the bars can open, or if we tell the bars that when it does reopen, we will prorate the amount, or if you pay the entire amount, we'll rebate you back the portion. I don't know.
President Schmidt?
Go ahead, Roger.
Schmidt? I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I think Councilor Schultz is raising a valid question because we don't know how long this is going to go on. There's not any uniform way that cities are handling it, but from what I've seen from other city attorneys, many of them are rebating for pro rata for the number of months that they've had to shut down. And this, as Councillor Fisher noted, this would be for the on-sale licensees only, because they're the ones who've been affected. Because this could be, June, July, it could be September. I think, and Nicole would know the answer to this, but I think they normally would have their applications in place, but by July 1st. But I don't know if they're going to be open by then.
Is this $100 request, is this just to make it kind of easier for staff, or could we do a prorated type system?
Yeah, you can. I mean, really, this was more a discussion item to get it out there as a blanket kind of discount and discuss the different options that were there. We could do a prorated.
I think we'll know, right? I mean, we should have a couple-week lead, hopefully.
Potentially.
Legally, hopefully. That when when the state does decide to let the bars open, they got to buy product, they got to get going, and a letter could go out at that point saying the total cost of your license was this, has been prorated now to X amount.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that would be fine. But when we look at
President Spitz, I don't know. Every one of the licensees is in their own financial situation. I will not name names. I know I spoke to one where they weren't sure if they were going to be able to reopen. And if these people otherwise are going to be applying for licenses, it may be helpful for them to make their decision if they know what the city's position is going to be. It's going to have an economic impact on our budget if this continues on. But perhaps you'd want to give this more thought because this is the first time you're hearing these different options tonight.
The only
This
thing
is
is,
Councillor Fisher.
go ahead.
This is Councillor Fisher, and I agree with Roger. I think that we need to give this some more thought. My thinking is that they've been closed since mid-March, and so a rebate or a prorated, they didn't get to use their current license for a full year. So how do we work the part that they missed and maybe the part that's going to be, that they aren't going to be able to use that license into the next year that it needs to be renewed. So I like the prorated, but how do you include those months that, they had a license and they weren't really using it. So I think there's a lot of thought consideration that might need to go into that. And that would be something that I think too is the prorated is.
We could use a
kind of the way
prorated
to
to
go.
do a discount off of the past year, but we don't know what's going to happen the upcoming year.
Right.
So that's where the problem's going to be. We don't know when it'll get back going full blast. So.
Yeah, so the easiest suggestion would be everyone just can potentially pay full price, get it, and then when we figure out,
Rebate.
rebate what they don't use at that point, so they have their liquor license in place.
So we've
at
already
that
sent
point.
the bills out, though, right?
Yeah, they've already been sent out.
Yeah, because they have to have all their paperwork in May so that it comes to council in June so that they're approved and at the state by July 1st.
But they probably should have got a 3.5-month credit because they weren't using their license. And then we don't know July, August, September, whatever that date might be yet. So yeah, maybe we do need to give this a little thought about we want to certainly help and be fair to our bar owners, because once they reopen, it's just a huge expense for them as well to get stocked and get back up to speed. So I'm fine with tabling this if the rest of the counselors are, and make sure we can come up with a way that's going to best be fair to everybody.
Yeah, I'm thinking if we could table it and then move to, and then in 2 weeks, bring something back, staff can kind of dig in and see maybe what others are doing and start the conversation with other communities, see if they're doing something different that we haven't thought of, and maybe bring it back at that time with some options.
Sounds good to me.
If people are okay
I
with that,
would
I'll
support
offer.
that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, he said he'll support it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to offer a motion then to table this request for more staff information and have it scheduled for the next meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher,
Yes.
Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Schultz,
Yes.
Counselor Christian,
Yes.
President Schmitz.
Yes, motion carries. Item 5.1, Jerry and Kara Meinders variance application. John out there, you got something on that?
Good evening. I'll give an abbreviated version of this request.
All right.
The Meinders are requesting a 5-foot variance for both the side and rear yard to place a detached storage structure. They are located in the R1 zoning district. They are surrounded by R1 properties, and this site in particular is unique because on the west side of their property, or their west property line, it's a very steep ravine, and from the corner of their house to where that ravine starts to drop off, there wouldn't be enough space to place this storage structure. Our city code requires that they have a 10-foot side yard setback and a 10-foot rear yard setback for the placement of the storage building. I talked to the Meinders today, and they would have been here tonight if we would have wanted them to. They have talked to their neighbors, and their neighbors have no concerns. And we at City Hall have received no comments on this variance application.
Thank John. Seeing none, entertain a motion.
I'm just gonna, Charlie,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm just gonna add that the planning commission met and we didn't see any issues with the Meinders request.
Thank you.
With that, I'll go ahead and offer a motion with the one condition, the variance request of Jerry and Carol Meinders to allow a detached storage building to be located 5 feet from the side property line and 5 feet from the rear property line.
Do we have a second?
Counselor Fisher, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher,
Yes.
Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Schultz,
Yes.
Counselor Christian,
Yes.
President Schmitz.
Yes, motion carries. Item 5.2, interim use permit, Brett Meyer. Go ahead, Dave.
Council President Schmitz, members of the City Council. This request has been made by Brett Meyer. He's proposing to operate a part-time gunsmithing business. This would take place at the property that has a street address of 115 North Washington Street. Legal description is Lot 4, Block 140 North Center Street. Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on this request at their April 30th, 2020 meeting, and then unanimously recommended approval of the request with 14 conditions. The reason we have 14 conditions is we're kind of combining two separate requests. One is the interim use permit request, which has a set of conditions, and then with gunsmithing in the past, we've had conditions for that which have been the same with each request. And so the combination of the two is the reason that we get to 14. The city previously has granted similar conditional use permits. They were through the home occupation process. We had 3 of those. We received 2 communications from the public on this matter, and those were included in the agenda packet. Of the conditions that have been identified, I'd like to just note a couple of them. One is that the interim use permit would last for a period of 5 years. And then the second is that the business would not begin operation until the applicant had secured the appropriate licenses from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. And there also is another condition that the firearms need to be stored in a secured location, and that the city needs to inspect that location. Mr. Meyer is with us today, so if you do have any questions, he's here to answer them.
Anybody have any questions for him?
I just have one as far as number 14. This is prior to the opening of the business, city shall inspect the business location, ensure that the property security measures have been installed. Who does that? Is that
That would be done by our building inspection department.
building inspection unit would do that? Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure if it was you guys or law enforcement or who did that, so. Thank you. That's the only question I have.
Anybody else have any questions?
Councilor Christian, just one comment. I had a few phone calls on it. Individuals who are small business owners just wondering how many we're going to issue because these people either rent a building or purchase a building. And, you know, you get the comment, we're allowing another home-based occupation where it's run out of the home, you know, buildings vacant in New Ulm. So I said I would make the comment because I did have a couple individuals call me on it.
Okay.
Well, hopefully his business grows and grows and grows, and then he moves downtown.
Right, that's the idea. At the amount
Name
of
and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Brett Meyer, 115 North Washington Street, New Ulm. The idea is that the amount of time that I'm going to stick into this business at this time wouldn't really facilitate paying a rent or a lease rate because, you know, the amount of work I might do from month to month or week to week may vary, and I might not even be able to make enough to cover a rent on a commercial space at this time. If that changes in the future, yeah, I would. Ideally, as in any business, you'd like to grow it and make it bigger, and at that time you can move to one of these, you know, many locations in town.
And we can help you out with a loan, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
There you go.
Any other questions?
I do. This is Councilor Fisher. I do have a question just because I can't pull up the document here for some reason. It's not loading on my computer. Is this a part-time business that does Brent have a full-time job and he's just doing this as a side job? Or is this a full-time job for him that he'll be spending?
I am a chiropractor right next door to City Hall here at Access Chiropractic. So no, that is my full-time job. I usually work, you know, a little, you know, it's a full-time job. So no, this is a side business. It's a part-time thing. I don't plan to do more than 10 to 15 hours a week.
Okay. So I guess, you know, I applaud you for reaching out and actually going through the process and getting the interim conditional use permit.
Thank you.
Are you getting lots of work?
As far as this proposed business, I have requests for enough to keep me busy for a while, yes.
Okay. Just curious.
Good. Any other questions? Seeing none? Entertain a resolution.
I'll offer a resolution, waive the reading, approving with conditions the application of Brett Meyer requesting the interim use of a permit to allow the operation of a part-time gunsmithing business and a residence and detached garage on property legally described as Lot 4, Block 140, north of Center Street. The street address of the property is 115 North Washington Street.
Do we have a second?
Councilor Fisher, second.
We have a motion and a second to offer the resolution waived reading. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Item 6.1, 2020 Utility Street and Alley Improvements Group 1 project. Mr. Kaler.
Good afternoon, councilors. Steve Kaler, city engineer. As previously authorized by the city council, city staff opened one bid up last Tuesday for the 2020 Utility Street and Alley Group 1 project. This is our largest project of the year. In particular, I think the most prominent segment is another 4 blocks of Front Street from 3rd to 7th South, where we've got deep underground sanitary sewer and a roadway that needs to be reconstructed. We received one bid from our local contractor, MR Paving and Excavating, in the amount of $4,523,874.34. This was approximately 8% above the engineer's estimate. In analyzing the bid, it was kind of dispersed throughout the project. It's kind of a complicated project, but staff is recommending that we award the contract to MR Paving and Excavating in the red amount.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Seeing none, entertain a motion.
I'll offer a motion to award the contract for the 2020 Utility Street and Alley Improvements Group 1 project to M&R Paving and Excavating in the amount of $4,523,874.34.
Counselor Christian, I'm going to second, and I do have one question for the city engineer. Okay, Mr. Kaler, you're still going to be available for that project, June, July, August, September on Front Street?
I think that's required in my motion.
I believe, Mr. Councilor Christian, I believe there is a place down on 4th South on the riverside where we can sit in the front yard together.
And talk about it.
Got it. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
We are looking forward to finishing up that segment of Front Street.
All right. Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Item 7.1, appointment to the library board.
I'll offer a motion to approve the appointment of Gabby Badinsky to the library board to fill the unexpired term of Emily Corbel.
Counselor Fisher, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none. Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 7.2, Hermann Monument temporary colored illumination request. Chris?
So all the high schools in the area, New Ulm Public, Cathedral, and Minnesota Valley Lutheran High Schools have asked to illuminate Hermann, their school color, during the week of their graduation. So we have Cathedral that would like to light Hermann up maroon from May 14th to the 21st. New Ulm High School, purple from May 25th to the 31st, and MVL, blue from June 8th to the 14th. Staff from each school will come and place and remove small plastic mylars over the lights, and this will be no expense to the city, and I support doing this.
We've not done this before, right?
No, this is
something else, but
something else we did it for.
We did it for
colon cancer awareness.
Yeah, colon cancer awareness.
Colon cancer, okay.
This is to help, again, kind of lighten the mood around the graduations, as COVID-19 has kind of wrecked a lot of seniors' years this year.
I think it's a great idea. I'm going to go ahead and authorize the New Ulm Cathedral Minnesota Valley Lutheran High School to temporarily illuminate Hermann Monument and their School of Color for a week surrounding their graduation.
Second, Christian.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes.
Roger Hippert, I just am wondering, with the extent of the construction project up there, I think generally the public is not supposed to be going by the monument. Does anything need to be coordinated? Are they even going to be able to do this?
They'll probably coordinate with Ryan Wire, but we'll have Ryan reach out, Ryan or Tom reach out to the schools to make sure we have someone from Parks and Rec help them with that.
So city staff will actually do the placing of the colors.
Or could.
Yeah.
Could. Yeah, we don't want anybody else up there during
Because
this.
I thought the matter indicated that the school staff would be doing this, so I just didn't want to cause any problems with the contractor up there.
Yeah, good catch, Roger. Thank
We'll,
you.
we'll coordinate.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries. Item 7.3, discussion on the plans for opening the city facilities. Chris?
So this is more just an update. Again, we'll have a more finalized plan after the shelter in place is done, but there are a couple items that I need to bring to the council's attention. One of which is staff is recommending draining the pool inside Vogel starting tomorrow. At this point in time, we had the chair of the Minnesota Park and Rec Association, the Aquatics Division, state that even though distancing may be possible, if you have two swimmers in there, you have the lanes spreading apart, the potential of waterborne transmission makes it questionable at best. So following that guidance and having construction starting in July, we feel at this time that we need to close the pool down, drain the water, just turn the heaters off, and just keep it empty at this point in time. So that is one thing that we would like to do tomorrow if possible, if the council approves us draining that pool. The second thing is we are actually closing the dog park during the shelter in place. The couple of times I've driven by, a couple of times I've walked by, there's been numerous people in there not social distancing. And funny enough, when I was turning on my computer this morning, I got something from ICMA, and dog park open close was a topic of discussion. And most cities across the U.S. have closed dog parks. So at this point,
I've been hearing that, yeah.
We'll close the dog park until the shelter in place is done. The final piece is the Memorial Day, I wouldn't say celebration, but parade. The Battery has kind of asked, is this a thing that's going to go on? My recommendation would be to cancel at this point in time, because I don't think gatherings are going to be allowed at that point. Still, if people want to go to the cemetery to pay their respect, I think that would be fine. But as far as the festivities that surround that, I think at this point they should be canceled. So I'd be looking for kind of guidance or a decision on that, because the Battery needs to know if they need to rent the horses or not. So I need to get back to them tomorrow to let them know. As far as city and the utilities go, the street department is back. Everyone is back working. They have separate crews, but all the work is now getting done. They're not doing split shifts coming in every other week, but they have two separate crews with staggered times, so they're not taking breaks at the same time, eating lunch at the same time, and same thing at the utilities as well. All those crews are back full time, and they're staggered as well as far as start time. City staff inside the building, with the exception of engineering, is still, because we don't have the capacity to social distance, and some of the departments are still doing the alternating days. Here down at the utilities, they are able to really separate everyone out, so everyone is back full-time down at the utilities. But since engineering is out now because their projects are starting, they're pretty much back full-time but out in the field. The library is looking at starting curbside pickup on May 11th from 9:30 to 6 p.m. And then we will see what the governor does as far as allowing places of public accommodation to open. That's where libraries would fall. Some of the libraries that our director has talked to, they're not even opening up until July 1st is kind of when they're thinking about allowing the public to come in. But we are working on a phasing plan, which we can present at the next meeting. But curbside pickup will start May 11th. As far as Parks and Rec goes, gave you an update on some of the stuff that we would like to do, but they will also be doing a phased approach depending on when the governor allows park and rec facilities to open. You know, the one thing that will be out there is it's probably only going to be fitness only, so strength and cardio. Again, physical contact sports aren't really up and running, and so we'll have a more solidified plan as we get more details moving towards next week. But primarily they'll be doing fitness only at this point in time. But again, things can change in 2 weeks. We don't know what's going to reopen and not, but it's kind of just an update on things. So really the things I would like some feedback or guidance on would be the parade, the Memorial Day festivities, and whether or not you would like to close the pool. It is staff's recommendation, and Park and Rec Association of Minnesota's aquatic director's kind of recommendation to close the pools at this point in time.
We really can't make a decision tonight because it's not something to vote on, but my opinion is come back with a recommendation. I support what you're talking about and stuff, and I think we need to go that route probably.
I think we can make.
Yeah,
we can vote on this. I
Yeah,
think
because
so.
it's part of the discussion for the plans.
It's a discussion item, so it's not. Yeah, I think we could vote. Regarding
So,
Go ahead.
Councilor Fisher, I have a couple of questions on the parade and the Memorial Day events that go on out at the cemetery, and who leads those? They're not really led by city staff, correct?
No.
So would it be their responsibility to cancel them?
They haven't applied yet for the parade permit that they need, and we would be deny it at that point in time if the council chose to go that direction.
Anybody else?
They're tough decisions, but I don't know, and we have to always rest on safety of our community members, and I think we have to unfortunately deny a permit for the parade at this point.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to be the one to make that motion.
Denying a parade permit. I mean, because that is on us. That they may even decide not to do it without, applying for the permit. But I'm just, I just don't know who puts on that ceremony out in the cemetery. Would we, because they don't rent it, they just gather there, right? They just set up their stuff. We don't have any part of that, do we?
Not that I'm aware of, no. I know the New Ulm Battery does something out there, and why this particular one came up is because they were asking if we were going to allow them to do it because they need to rent the horses and get everything ready. And so, it would be my recommendation to deny it at this point because we don't know. I don't think they're going to allow groups of 10 or more by the time Memorial Day weekend rolls around. And this would just be in compliance.
I think we have to.
But
So maybe, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I just was going to say, but we'll prepare the cemetery as normal with the flags and all of the other stuff that we put out or the cleanup that we do.
Yes, we will. Kurt and the street department are getting that prepared as we speak.
Anybody else?
That's the only parade that we have coming up.
I think so.
Any others?
I think so at this point in time.
A lot of parades in this town.
Bavarian Blast, but that's in July,
It's a
so
little way,
that's a ways off yet.
Otherwise, to cover us, do we have a motion just to cancel any parade permits through May?
What about draining the pool? We want to include that one too right away?
I think we do them one at
a time.
Well, I don't know, that takes longer, I suppose, but just in case some people don't agree with some or the other.
Yeah.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
I'll offer a motion then to deny any parade permits for the month of May.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz?
Yes.
Counselor Christian?
Yes.
And President Schmitz?
Yes, motion carries.
As to the pool, do we recommend a certain amount of time that it be closed to? And then my other question would be, you know, I know we're waiting for bids for the whole reconstruction. Could that be moved up at all and get going? If I don't know how that would work with, I know it's a huge bid that we're waiting to come in, but
Yeah,
an
and those
important bid.
those
It'd be
bids
nice to do that work now while it's.
Yeah, those bids just went out this week, and so we'll get those back at the end of the month is when it closes, and we'll open them. Then we'll go to the Renew Committee, and then we'll bring it to Council for approval, denial, moving forward with the project based on what those bids come in at. The earliest they're looking at starting current construction would be, you know, early to mid July, once those bids come in. But at this point in time, you know, based on the recommendation, not recommendation, but what the Parks and Rec Association has put out there, you know, no one knows if waterborne transmission is a thing. Even if you don't know someone has it, you're just infecting the pool potentially at some point. And then that also brings in any lifeguards that you have working as well that potentially have to dive in. You're subjecting them to potential exposure at that point as well. And so the recommendation, you know, is to close the pool.
The pool probably would close until construction takes over, right? Or
Yeah.
I mean, reopens. And under
Reopens.
the new.
Yeah, pool would be
That's
closed.
gonna be a long time.
Pool would reopen next fall.
Wow.
But the only difference is we're gonna be only closing it a month or two early, that's
Yeah,
all.
I know.
And they wouldn't be able to use it during that time anyway, really.
Yeah, and then just the guidelines to get people into that pool. You know, we would probably only allow 2 people in the pool at once because we only have 2 showers available. We'd let them in, use the shower, the unisex showers, lock their stuff in there, they can go swim, come back out, and then we'd have to disinfect the entire bathroom before the next 2 people were allowed to go in. So it's just the
I know people are going to be asking the same question that we had with the liquor license. People that have been paying their dues for swimming, and what are we talking about there? Rebates or credit or?
anyone that has wanted to cancel is able to cancel. We're looking at potentially redoing the structure of if just the fitness portion is open, redoing the fee structure to reflect that, basically canceling everyone's membership at that point and having people re-sign up under this new fee structure to use just the cardio and strength equipment or potentially other amenities as things open up. But it will be a complete restructuring of the fee schedule.
Okay.
Do we, Chris, this is Lisa, are we doing, and this might be a little out of the realm of our discussion, is what economic impact is this having on our revenues coming in? Is there something that maybe a report could be done or something for us next meeting or so, just to see a little bit more with what impacts, because we're going to see loss of revenue.
Yes.
In areas, and how is that going to affect our budget?
Yeah, we can get something together. If not by next meeting, that first meeting in June, we'll shoot for the next one and see what we can come up with. And that's
it's just a question that is kind of lingering out there. That what impact are we going to have for our own having to maybe go into reserves and stuff, and what.
No, that's a valid question, and we'll look into that, and we'll try and shoot for the next council meeting to have a report so you can guys take a look at it. But no later than the first meeting in June to have something for you.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine.
Good question though, Councilor Fisher, because I know we're looking at what the state went from a $1.5 billion surplus to a $4 billion deficit in 2 months. So we don't have numbers like that, but we're certainly not going to see a surplus from what the lack of revenue we've been going through the last couple months. So it's going to be some tough numbers and tough budget next year, I'm afraid. I'll offer a motion then, unfortunately, to close the pool effective immediately until further notice.
Yep.
Do we have a second?
I didn't want to make the motion.
Mac.
We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher?
Yes.
Counselor Mack?
Yes.
Counselor Schultz,
Yes.
Counselor Christian,
Yes.
President Schmitz.
Yes, motion carries.
Back to the dog park now. Do you think that should just be a motion until stay-at-home order's been lifted, or?
I mean, that one, I don't think we need a motion because that's just in our control to just lock it up and
Okay.
close it.
All right, so we don't need a motion. on
Yeah,
that.
not for that one,
Okay.
no.
Now the library, right?
Library, that one should be fine too, because we're essentially closed. Most facilities are going to be closed until the 20th, till after the 19th council meeting. So that's just part of it. But at the 19th, we'll present that plan to you about potentially when they want to reopen, because I know it won't be immediately. They'll probably, at a minimum, 2 weeks out from when shelter in place is done.
The curbside is opening up on Monday, so
Yeah,
people want
Monday,
certain
11th.
books, certain movies. They can call the library. They'll get them ready.
Yep.
They'll walk them out to the car.
Yep.
And then staff are going to have to figure out a way to how they're going to make sure they're disinfected and cleaned upon bringing them back into the building.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they're working on that plan now.
Yes.
Awesome. All right,
Yep.
thank you. I really want to see our library open. I think people are begging for things to do and books to read, and so I'm really glad that we're doing that.
Anything else, Chris?
No, that should do it.
Okay. We'll go on to item number 8. A list of claims paid in amount of $4,400,882.76, and a list of claims to be paid in amount of $402,037.48.
I'll offer a motion exactly to what he just said.
Christian, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on any? Seeing none? Finance Director, please call the roll.
Counselor Fisher,
Yes.
Counselor Mack, Counselor Mack,
Yes.
Counselor Schultz,
Yes.
Counselor Christian,
Yes.
President Schmitz.
Yes, motion carries. With no more business, meeting adjourned.